Monster Game Night is a dark comedy actual play podcast that contains personal and political horror. This show is not appropriate for children, and adults can find content warnings in our episode descriptions. Welcome to our Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle, Bluegrass by Night, where our baleful storyteller sends our band of offbeat vampires on a dangerous road trip to destroy the wards protecting the fictional Jamestown. I'm Ben, and I'm playing Tomaso, the accurate Putanesca.
I'm Russell, and I play Gordon, the Hangman La Sombra.
I'm Josh, and I play Clear Visions, the blind Toreador.
And I'm Nick, and I play Jason, the Guillotine, Bantu Hakim.
Oh, fucking good. Hey, I'm Mike, and I am your secretive storyteller. Why doesn't our coterie recap what happened last week on Monster Game Night?
So Tomaso inadvertently led the charge of getting out of Jamestown, walked into a little row of tripwires, and ended up in a firefight.
Gordon decided to play a game of Hangman with two of the shooters on the grassy knoll.
Jason followed Gordon's lead, snuck up behind Bogey 2 for the decapitation.
We eventually got away onto the Clear Visions tour bus where we were reunited with Rosetta and Suzanne.
You know, Suzanne felt that resentment all the way from fictional Jamestown to here. To set the scene, tonight's session opens inside the Clear Visions tour bus a few moments after Rosetta, who is driving the bus on her expired commercial driver's license, has spotted a roadblock up ahead, twin bonfires flanking police cars with lights flashing. Of course, the coterie just drove away from flashing police lights inside of Jamestown. Sir, I see a roadblock up ahead.
Roadblock? What? Oh, my vision! It's returned! The flashing lights! Oh, this is great! I mean, this is awful. Go around.
I can't. There's Mr. Visions, there's only 2 lanes on this road.
Make our own lane. Get through there. We gotta get to Oxford.
No.
Don't do that.
Just crash through.
Just stop, Rosetta. We will see what's going on.
Honestly, you figure it out. And I get up and I go back to my room, and I'm going to go change into some more presentable clothing.
Does this bus have a secret escape hatch?
Roll a d10 for me.
We have a luggage compartment. Get in there.
You hear Suzanne's voice say, "Yeah, I know about the luggage compartment." That's a what?
An 8.
There's a maybe.
I like how he looked at you and was like, maybe?
Jason's got an idea of where one might be.
Just use your sword and cut one.
And that is, where is it at?
Yeah, where is it?
We'll
Jason?
never know.
All right.
No.
It doesn't seem like anybody else is interested in addressing this up front. So,
Oh, no, I'll join you.
okay, Tommy's going to step to the front of the bus, take a look outside. I assume I have to roll to see what I'm looking at.
Gordon joins him.
Tomaso steps forward towards the windshield and gazes out in the night beyond. He sees fires burning in barrels and oil drums. He sees flashing blue lights. He sees officers walking in khaki uniforms with dogs on leads.
I'm going to take a guess this looks very similar to one we encountered before.
That's a reasonable guess.
All right.
Is it the same people we met before?
think
Give
we're
me a roll of insight plus awareness.
I will happily do that.
You got that?
Rosetta ignored Clear Vision's suggestion that she drive off-road and create her own path. The tour bus has begun to slow. What is Clear Vision's doing?
Hey, real quickly, you gave us 2 skills there.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. Insight and awareness.
Give me a roll of wits plus awareness.
There you go.
I'm changing my clothing and getting back into a more presentable, I'm not going to say like business suit, but like
It has to be
breezy.
his leisure suit.
So is this like...
Yeah.
So when I picture something breezy for Clear Visions, what I see is a linen button-down and white slack.
Yeah, it's like a gingham
Yeah.
shirt, just some slacks. Yeah, like a business casual.
Right. Yeah, untucked,
Yeah.
still kind of casual, but comfortable and airy.
Mhm.
Yeah. Clear Visions notices, of course, at this point that his face is absolutely covered in foul red blood from rolling around on the forest floor earlier.
This is unacceptable. And he'll wash it off.
Very well. Clear Vision steps out a few moments later, returned to himself. Teresa is relieved to see him wholesome. She flutters over across the bus very, very carefully because her wingspan can almost go from side to side of this bus. So it's more of like a long hop that she does, but she ends up on his shoulder and she nibbles affectionately on his hair, kind of preening him a little bit, having to hunch down a bit so her head doesn't bump on the ceiling.
Yeah. Have you seen like geese hug people? Where they wrap their whole like neck and stuff like around them?
Oh.
I picture it's like that.
I think she would do that. So yeah, she's on your neck, kind of crouched down a little bit, pulling her wings close up against her with her neck twisted around on the other side, her cheek pressed up against Clear Vision's.
Oh, thanks, Teresa. You really helped me there. It could have been a lot worse. Why'd we stop? Keep it going.
Mr. Visions, this tour bus, I cannot drive it off of the road.
I didn't say off the road. Well, I did. But you can just drive straight through. We already dealt with these people
Calm
before,
down.
right?
We'll see what they need.
Just bust through the roadblock. Let's move.
This may be an inconvenient time to remind you that my CDL is expired.
Don't worry about that.
All the more reason to go through. They're going to arrest you.
No, they won't.
Well,
And
hold on.
Gordon steps off.
Wait.
I
That was
am
all
a
my roll
Giovanni.
first. Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah,
I
you-
assumed
Mr.
you were
Tomaso?
giving me my instincts there. Okay, so I got 3
Yes.
successes.
3 successes. On 3 successes, what stands out to Tomaso is that this roadblock differs from the first one in that it was hastily set. This has not been placed at a point where it would be impossible to go around it. There's many fewer cars here. This looks almost like someone was in a hurry to prepare for it.
All right, Spyman.
He also recognizes 2 of the dogs look very familiar.
Okay, Spyman. It looks like they aren't as prepared as last time. However, I think this is the same unit we ran across before. So let's be ready.
How many cops are there?
Only about 6 this time.
Only. Perfect. Gordon steps out of the bus and approaches whichever one he sees is in charge.
And Tommy does the same thing as before. He goes down to the bottom step of the bus and he uses his bulk to basically shield the door.
Tommy steps down. We see the light streaming across this empty, grassy field. Tomaso's shoulder cutting into it and deflecting it as Gordon walks towards the police officers in their khaki uniforms, trailing a little bit of shadow behind him. As Gordon walks forward, we see the form Sergeant Ayers. And he says, "Well, I think we've met before. I recognize your bus.
Evening, Sergeant. How are you tonight?
I'm doing very well. Now, you'll forgive me if I'm not quite as pleasant as I was last time as we first met.
Why not?
Well, you see, it's a mite suspicious, your bus leaving. We'd like to ask a couple of questions of you and your ilk. You
My
mind
ilk? What
I-
is this about, Sergeant?
you want to come along? And I need Gordon to give me a roll of dexterity plus athletics.
What?
For what?
I think we're going to find out.
I need Mr. Fletcher to give me that roll of dexterity plus athletics.
I'm going to rouse the blood. I get hungrier.
Actually happen.
And that's 4 successes.
On 4 successes, Gordon notices that Sergeant Ayers very carefully placed a single loop of a handcuff around his right wrist and was trying to get the second fastened around his left. Gordon notices the cold touch of metal against his palm before Sergeant Ayers can close the second.
Since he's touching me, I'm going to cast Touch of Oblivion.
Get wrecked.
That takes a rouse check to activate.
Do get hunger. And since he's clearly not trying to avoid me, he can't do anything about it. Specifically, I'm going to make him mute. And specifically, he feels his throat closing up and he can't speak. As his vocal cords just kind of shrivel.
Gordon catches Sergeant Ayers attempting to fasten the left handcuff around his wrist. Gordon flips his hand, catches Sergeant Ayers on the forearm, looks him straight into the eyes, and we see the shadows behind Gordon swell, and we see them form themselves into a spike and drive themselves directly down Sergeant Ayers' mouth. His head tilts back. We see his massively wide state trooper hat slip off of his head, catch itself around its tether as this shadow forces itself down Sergeant Ayers' throat. There's twisted, choking gurgle, and we hear Sergeant Ayers' vocal cords freeze completely.
I then turn to the other 5 officers, and I say quite loudly, "Now, I don't understand the meaning of this, but if I need to call the governor's office to clear this up, I will. I will take your silence as your ascension that we can just move ahead." Wonderful. And Gordon turns his back and walks back onto the bus. I expect, as he walks back, he says, "I expect those cars to be moved. Otherwise, my call is to the governor."
Give me a roll of charisma plus leadership. Add 1 die for your treatment of Sergeant Ayers.
What about manipulation, intimidation, since I am trying to get them to do something?
I would take manipulation plus intimidation. What are Jason and Clear Visions doing?
Jason stows his sword and pulls out the rifle that was previously hidden and then positions himself at the back of the bus near a hatch in the floor.
So Jason climbs onto the table, flips the bipod of this rifle forward, and takes up a sniper's post stretched out behind it, reticle trained on Sergeant Ayers, but ready to select any target who might stop him.
Some Mission Impossible shit. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
Clear Visions.
I like where your head's at, kid. And I'll go back to my room and dig through the closet for the flamethrower.
We see Clear Visions emerge. Backpack pesticide sprayer that still has at least a few quarts of gasoline inside of it. Candle wick along the side of it. Clear Visions is fumbling with a lighter to get that to light. Tomaso?
Sounds like Gordon has this in hand. I'm just waiting in the back. By the way, I forgot to mention, I do have the shotgun draped over my shoulder, but it's the one that's still like inside the door, so they can't see it.
Okay, Mr. Fletcher.
Before I roll these, because I roused the blood and did not get hungrier, would you permit me to spend XP to increase my intimidation skill?
No. No, that is power gaming at its most power gaming.
Nice try. Respect, but no.
Yes, game, respect, game, but no.
You didn't need it.
I didn't need it. That's...
Spending willpower?
I am. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 successes.
What does Gordon say?
Exactly what he said as he was leaving. He says, "I expect these cars to be moved and allow us on our way. Otherwise, my next call is to the governor."
So Gordon steps onto the tour bus?
Yep.
Gordon places his feet onto the tour bus. Rosetta looks at Gordon and she says, "They're not moving."
Gordon looks towards them, steps back off the bus. He gathers the shadows around him and says, "I said now." He is going to...
We are entering into combat,
Oh, hell yes.
and that will be your first round.
They didn't move
So
on 8 successes.
yeah, and that was a crit too, which is insane.
They did not move on 8 successes.
Hella sus. Hella sus.
Yes, hella sus.
I'm thinking the governor's on their side.
Thinking, I don't give a rat's ass.
So, who is acting first?
I'm walking up and shooting the flamethrower if we're going into combat.
Well, let me get off the bus before you start doing that.
Pulled weapons yet?
No, they have not pulled weapons yet.
Well, how did the dogs look?
Aggressive.
Oh, no.
How?
No.
We see 2 German shepherds, ears pressed flat up against the backs of their heads, straining against the leash that's being held. We see Officer Marlene being dragged along by her dog a little bit. The rest of the officers, as they hear Gordon's directive, something else is holding them firm here. Some other power is forcing them to resist him, even though under ordinary circumstances, if they were just mortal police officers, they'd obey him immediately.
All right. Tomaso steps off the bus, walks up behind Gordon, and I'm just going to ready the shotgun. I'm not going to fire, but I have it ready to fire.
Tomaso unslings the shotgun in one smooth movement over his back. We hear him pump it with one hand through the air, racks a shell, and it comes up straight to his shoulder, armed and ready.
Now, will that prevent me from utilizing quick draw if I'm attacked?
I think that's quick draw. Acting right now is to give you that.
All right, fine. Just wanted to clarify.
Mr. Driston, you have your rifle at the ready.
You were aiming at Ayers.
Right. I think I'm just going to quietly open that hatch and just slip down underneath the bus.
Okay. Are you going to try to bring the rifle with you or not?
Yes, wait there, take aim.
Okay. Mr. Visions, you have your flamethrower. What are you doing?
Yeah, Visions he's got his flamethrower. I picture him already walking towards the front of the bus as this is happening. And he says, "This is ridiculous," as he walks down the steps and gets ready for an all-out attack.
Okay. So Clear Visions has successfully, by this point, ignited the tip of his pesticide sprayer makeshift flamethrower.
Mhm.
Doesn't know how many rounds he has in it. That's a question for another time.
Yep.
What we do see is Clear Visions in his casual, nice linen button-down shirt. Teresa perched on one shoulder, spreading her wings wide, her feathers casting the firelight off of them. Looks like a goddamn phoenix right now. To initiate this combat, Gordon, are you going to attack? Or is Gordon frozen because this is so horribly unexpected that someone, somewhere, some mortal has apparently been so persuaded by some power that they could resist him?
Gordon's going to walk up to the Sergeant Ayers and he's going to pull out his 9mm and he's going to point it at the sergeant's head.
Why is he pointing at me?
And he is going to, no bluff, no nothing, just matter of fact, say, "Well, you all seem rather strong-willed." And he's going to point blank shoot the sergeant in the head.
Fuck, we're doing this.
We're doing it.
Gordon draws his firearm from his hip, places it against the sergeant's head. It's already loaded. Safety is off. Carried condition 1. Sergeant Ayers choking on the gout of shadow that Gordon has forced down his mouth, makes eye contact with Gordon, his eyelids pulled wide, his eyes, blood veins bursting at the moment, looks at Gordon. We see the bullet rip apart Sergeant Ayers' head. He falls limp as a puppet whose string has been cut. The sound cuts across the still night air. We see the other 4 police officers draw firearms, duck behind cover, and one of them skirts off. So I think that the order of resolution on this is going to be Tomaso because of quick draw. Jason, you were dropping through a hat with your rifle. So it is going to take you a dice roll to make that happen. You're going to be at a slight penalty because you've taken an action for this.
I thought I already did that in the last round.
That was not, that was
Okay.
not a round.
Okay, that was just my intention. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Clear Visions, you will be acting at the moment that Tomaso fires. So we're going to go Tomaso, Clear Visions, Jason.
I thought I was already down there waiting.
Sorry.
You're dropping through the hat with a long gun. That's not easy.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You're setting up a shot. Jason is twisting through a hat with a rifle. He's got to get through it, and then he's got to find a sight picture. That's not an easy thing to do.
But it's something I should be good at anyway.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is why you could do it, and most human beings could not. But it's still really fucking hard.
All right. So I get to add my quick draw to this.
To add your quick draw,
I'm going to go ahead and rouse too.
you see Officer Marlene starting to let her canine unit off of its lead, and it is now sprinting towards Mr. Fletcher. You see the snarl, its white fangs dribbling slaver. It leaps into the air towards Tomaso.
You mean towards Gordon?
Towards Tomaso.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah. So as I see the dog coming, Tomaso says out loud, "My favorite thing, killing pigs." And I let loose on the dog.
Oh,
Sorry.
Someone had to do it.
this is for my dog allergy.
Shit roll. Jesus.
that is a shit roll.
Willpower. Hold on a second. Better.
1.
5 successes.
5 successes. Joan, the juvenile German Shepherd, leaps into the air. We hear Tomaso's quick draw shotgun blast rip across the still night. Moments after Gordon has just executed Sergeant Ayers, the dog is caught in midair as pellets from the shotgun rip across its chest, its momentum carrying it forward into Tomaso, but it's dead by the time it gets there. Its jaws close on nothing. It simply deflects harmlessly off of him.
And I'll keep moving forward.
Clear Visions.
What is my dice pool?
Your dice pool for this is composure plus firearms.
Okay. I'm going to rouse the blood. Do not get hungry.
Teresa spans out her wings on Clear Vision's back, casting an intimidating shadow.
Oof. Willpower.
What is your intention here?
I'm trying to harm as many of them as possible.
Okay.
It's only 2 successes.
On 2 successes, Clear Visions ignites his flamethrower, sending fire towards the 3 officers now who are cowering alongside their cruisers. The fire licks at their feet. He can see that they're going to be distracted for a moment because there's heat burning from the bottom of their cars and they're not going to be able to take cover as effectively as they would have. But Clear Vision's coterie mates are going to have much greater success because now the officers are trying to hide behind burning cars. Mr. Driston tucks his rifle up close to him, rolls through the hatch in the floor, drops down, draws the rifle in front of him, finds his sight picture. What are you doing?
I'm going to shoot the one furthest in the back that is within my line of sight.
Give me a roll of composure plus firearms.
Before you do that, one thing. So the one that let the dog loose, is she undercover or not?
She's not undercover.
So, and then we've got one running, right?
You have one running right now.
And so there's 3 others hiding behind
There's
burning
3
cars.
others hiding behind cover. There's one sprinting kind of off to the brush on the side.
Yeah, so if they're the one that's probably furthest away at this point, then they're the one I'm taking aim on.
You're going for the one who's sprinting into the brush.
All right.
All right.
I rouse the blood. I do not get hungrier. 6 successes.
6 successes. Jason's 308 sniper rifle rips through the night air, passes completely through the burning husk of a police car to catch this figure in the right hip. You hear a shout and a scream as a man collapses into the brush. You see him attempting to struggle to his feet, his right leg totally not responding to him.
I think we can leave that one for later now.
The police officers who are cowering behind the burning cars are going to regroup and they're going to take aim. They'll get some extra dice into their pool during round 2.
Okay.
What is your intention?
Suggestion: shoot the burning cars and push them back into them. I could at least
You can
one
move a car
with
with your shotgun?
What do you mean move them back into them?
Just jostle the cars a bit
Don't
because they're
see
still
what you
cowering
mean.
behind the
Yeah, I
cars.
don't.
I mean, the cars are
fuck it,
presumably
forget
parked and they're on the opposite side of them. That's why I don't know what you mean. It's not like we're like kicking them into the open door or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't.
Cars
I have
back
a 1
into
dot
that.
in strength. I'm not kicking any car.
well, I'm not going to kick a burning car. if they weren't on fire, I was
All right.
going to flip one of the
Anyway,
cars.
I think
onto
that's
one of
enough
them,
table
but
talk.
I didn't get
Let's
that
get
chance.
going. Mr. Fletcher?
Mr. Fletcher is going to. Where's the other dog? You said there were 2.
The other dog is crouched next to a very youthful blonde officer, shaved head, very nearby. He's fumbling with the leash right now, trying to...
Is he blonde or is he
Really?
shaved?
You know what shaved blonde guys look like. Come on. There's... Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
And to clarify, one of the ones
He is hiding behind a
the
burning
car,
police car
or-
right now.
Okay, so that means that
All right.
I don't have a clear shot at him at the moment.
Not totally clear, but you can make it happen.
Okay. I'm going to move. So the way I'm imagining these cars, right, is you have 2 that are probably like forming a V with a third behind them,
Yes.
correct? And they're behind that third car,
Yeah.
correct? Okay. I'm going to move to the side of one of the cars in the V
Okay.
to where I can get a clear shot of the guy with the other dog.
Okay.
And I'm going to go pew pew. It's a ranged attack.
Are you going all out attack or are you trying to be tactical about this?
I'm going to be tactical
Okay.
about it.
Very well. You will lose some dice from your pool when you get fired upon.
Mhm.
Mr. Tomaso?
I assume it would be dexterity athletics for me to do a running
I
leap and
think
try to
that's
land
the
on one of
correct
these
dice pool
guys.
for that.
All right, cool. I'm going to make that
Okay.
attempt.
Mr. Driston?
All right. I'm not sure how much of this I will be allowed to do in one round, but what I want to do is roll out from under the bus, activate my fleetness so that I can sprint around to a flanking position
Okay.
to fire.
So you can activate a discipline. I would count that as one action. You're firing. You would lose 1 die from your pool, but you can activate a discipline and take an action. So I think you can do all of that on 1 turn.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Visions?
So now that they are sort of like back, I'm just trying to suppress them with the fire.
Okay.
So I think it's the block action.
Okay. So the block action, tell me what the dice pool is again.
It is actively opposing another character. When blocking, simply set the result of your block roll as opposition to the action you're blocking.
Okay. Do they give you what the block roll is?
It just depends on what you're doing. So I'm essentially fighting back
So
to just prevent them from doing what they're doing.
the fact that you're doing this with a flamethrower, I feel like Composure Firearms is the right pool for that because you're trying to maintain awareness of what they are doing.
Mhm.
And as they start to return fire, keep them suppressed.
Mhm.
So narratively, it makes sense for Clear Visions to act first because his dice pool will influence the rest of what the three of you get. So Clear Visions give me a roll of Composure Firearms.
I'm going to spend another willpower.
Okay.
Okay. That is 4 successes.
Clear Visions, now totally clear of the tour bus, steps into the grass, his white shirt catching the light, levels his flamethrower at 3 officers cowering behind a police car, spurts a gout of flame, coating the entire vehicle. He's very, very certain that those 3 officers are going to take a tremendous amount of willpower to force themselves to face that fire and attack his coterie mates.
This is for being in my way. You should have fucking moved.
Our next action is going to come from Tomaso. Oh, wait, you're not
Did
ranged.
the
I'm
ranged
sorry.
action go
I
next?
forgot. I was kind of counting you
Yeah.
ranged. I'm wrong on that. I think that our next one should actually come from Jason. You activate fleetness. You see Clear Vision's burst of fire come forth. You dash to the side, find a convenient spot, work the action on your rifle, level it. This is very much Composure plus Firearms. How many dice do you have in that pool?
With my roused blood, I have 7.
Do you want to
8.
take half?
No.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to move us along.
Spend a willpower.
Damn it. It's
Per
burning
scene.
through this shit.
Big
Yeah, no,
difference.
still.
Well, per
Session,
session.
which we consider like a recording day.
That is a 7. That is messy critical.
God damn. Okay, I need help on this messy critical because obviously he succeeds, but I'm trying to think of how to make that messy.
The bullet tears through the person he's shooting at and punctures the gas tank on the car, potentially adding a fire. Yeah, like giving the potential for Tommy to become on fire.
With a messy critical, not a bestial failure,
Yeah.
right?
No, I know,
So it
but that's why I said potential. Based on Tommy's role, right? It's a potential hazard that he has to overcome. But it could also harm the cop,
Yeah.
right? Like,
That could be a lot, though.
I think I know what I'm going to do.
okay.
Jason crouches down, trained rifleman that he is, levels his sights at an officer who is cowering, his face sweating intently. And as this officer collects himself and stands up, beginning to present his pistol and return fire, Jason's .308 rifle catches the man in the center of the brain bucket, severing the lower part of his brainstem and collapsing him immediately. At that moment, the man's finger twitches, igniting the gas tank of the squad car he was cowering behind, and we see this police car that has been lit on fire. Now an accelerant has been introduced. Now the gas tank has been punctured. Fumes of gasoline mix with the fire coating it, and it explodes, lifting skyward, turning the car over, and I need every single member of the coterie to make a frenzy check against fire, the rot shriek, which
Remind
Clear
us.
Visions owed me one of them before, and I forgot to call for it. Yes.
Remind us what the
what's the dice
check
pool for
is.
this?
That is hold for dog. Let's see. Please have this be one of your first things. Thank you.
Sure, it's unspent willpower.
Yep.
I'm sure.
I need each of you to give me a roll of Terror Frenzy. This roll is equal to your unspent willpower plus 1/3 of your humanity rounded down.
What you got, Jason?
Zilch.
Oh, I got a 1.
I got one. I got a 1.
The difficulty on this was 2.
Well, we got 3 altogether. Is that
Yeah, exactly. This is a group roll.
That's
We
yes.
help each other.
Yes, we'll change the rules. And this was a group roll. Oh my fucking god. Okay. I thought like one person was going to fail. was like, that's a reasonable.
What you
Messy
fail to
critical.
understand is
We've spent so much willpower.
we've spent so much willpower, and
Yes.
I'm at 5 humanity. He's at 5 humanity. You're at 5.
6.
Oh, 6.
7.
Yeah.
7 still, but
that gives you
two.
that gave me
That
3.
gives you 2. That gives you 2.
Okay.
That gives
Yeah, that was right. I did my math
Jason and
right.
myself 1 each.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was on a terror frenzy. Let me make sure I get this right. But during a terror frenzy, while in terror frenzy, the vampire flees from the source of danger without regard to anyone or anything in their way. The terror frenzy ends when the vampire can no longer perceive any danger or when the scene ends. So I'm treating this as a bonfire. Difficulty 2, although I think difficulty 3 inside a burning building would not be too far out of the question because we have burning cars and a flamethrower. With that said, I think 2 is reasonable. The police officers are not in good shape. This is round 3 of our combat. They have been reduced by half. Jason murdered one of them. They lost a dog. They lost Sergeant Ayers. They are not prepared to stand and fight. The moment that the flames turn the vampires away, they too are going to begin to flee.
None of them were caught in that explosion.
Oh, I think they've been very, very wounded by that explosion.
So they're not fleeing very fast.
They're not fleeing very fast or very far. The coterie,
I'm fleeing very fast.
Fair.
the coterie flees for a few minutes.
Minutes?
With
Fleetness?
Considering-
fleetness. Oh,
I'm
God.
Well, yeah. Considering I was, did I get the chance to get into midair before that happened? Because that's what I was going to do. I was going to
that
jump.
ruins like the rest of this round.
But we were on round 3.
Yeah.
It
We're
should. I mean,
resolving
it's
now.
over.
Yeah.
So we have police
Yeah, it's over.
officers standing by a burning car. Someone roll a d10 for me.
You can go.
5.
5.
I'm not
a
doing it.
single officer limps away from the explosion of the car. It is, in fact, the same officer who took a hip shot from Jason earlier.
The one you hip check.
The rest of them are caught
Teresa, get him.
by shrapnel. The coterie flees from the explosion that they have created. The shrapnel flying towards the bus, possibly penetrating some of the glass windows. We'll find out in a moment. Yes.
No, continue. You're good.
Okay. You return sometime later, perhaps Jason a bit later than everybody else. You find a blood stain that this officer has drug himself along.
I'm going to follow the blood stain.
What is everybody else doing?
Tomaso's going to walk over to Clear. Hey, can I,
mean,
can
you're
I
going
see
to
that
destroy
thing really
it,
quick?
but it seems like didn't do us much good, and we already used it. So sure, why not?
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to break the makeshift broomstick over my knee, and then I'm going to take the canister and I'm going to hurl it as hard as I can, just like
Oh, don't do
back
that.
toward
You used to blow
Jamestown.
up the other 2 cars.
Why? The other 2 cars
Can't
are
do-
burning
can't blow
anyway.
them
Who
good.
cares?
Getting shot.
Yeah.
I was gonna try to tank the damage for the rest of them, but I don't like frenzying. So I'm eating that thing.
So, Gordon, you follow the bloody streak of the officer with the shattered hip, dragging himself on his hands and knees, right leg trailing behind him down this stretch of dark blacktop. Catch up to him.
I say, hey, wait, don't run away. I hate to
No,
see you
don't go.
but I love to see you.
Love to see you crawl away.
Gordon sees a flash of silver metal as this officer draws his sidearm and attempts to fire at him, far too mangled and maimed to bring any real threat. The round flies wide, nowhere near to Gordon.
Gordon takes his foot and stomps on his hand with the gun.
There's a yelp of pain from the man. He stopped, and now he rolls fully onto his back. We see blood soaking along his side. We see him dragging himself where he's been dragging himself along. We can see a streak of mud along his chest.
I'm going to turn to him and I'm going to say, I can save you. I can keep you from dying. All I want to know.
The officer is fumbling inside of his shirt now,
Oh no,
tearing buttons away.
I knock his hand away and I say, all I want to know is who sent you and how you knew where we were going to be.
Lucas Thorne. And that is where we will end this session.
Motherfucker.
This is the portion of our session where we track the moral degeneration of our kindred as they commit increasingly despicable acts. Clear Visions has the convictions of uncover the truth in all things, vision without action is but a dream, and you are nothing more than your reputation. Our chronicle tenets are ashes are a poor foundation, give respect but demand it too, and united we stand, divided we fall. Clear Visions murdered a mortal, though that mortal was an enemy combatant. What else do we have?
That's all I got.
Yeah, I feel like that's all I got.
Yeah.
Mad at you for using the flamethrower, but I got nothing, so.
He has developed an innate fear.
We have another one.
Yeah, I'm going to find that one too. Break it. Sick of these things.
Clear Visions incurred no stains.
Mr. Jason Driston has the convictions of punish the guilty, protect the innocent, and orders are purposed. Do we feel that Jason violated any of his chronicle tenets? Any of the chronicle tenets or any of his convictions?
I don't think so.
I don't see any.
I mean, the only thing I've got is you drank from the decapitated corpse was on the dead, so
he doesn't violent. Yeah.
I know. I'm trying to think of anything because we're just sitting here going no. So
My opinion is that it didn't make a difference to anyone at all if Jason did or didn't. Yeah. So we don't have anything about don't desecrate corpses. So yeah.
Amazingly enough,
yeah,
somehow we don't have that one.
We missed that one somewhere.
Wonder how.
Jason has also incurred no stains.
Mr. Tomaso Galenti has the personal convictions of always keep your sworn word and don't indulge in wanton violence. Do we feel that Tomaso violated those?
Okay.
I would like to say, Ben as a player, I don't feel violated them. However, I think you kind of forced him into the mass shooting spree of the killing of the tree.
That's where things get complicated for me because I, as a person, don't like games that say your character did a bad thing, so they are now bad. That removes agency to me, and I feel like that makes it not fun. Because if you're like, well, my player frenzied and they did something awful, I feel bad. Or my player got a messy critical and now they... But that's also how Vampire is technically supposed to be played, but we also play fast and loose enough with it that I'm okay with saying no.
Yeah.
Well, so just breaking it down a little.
Yeah.
I mean, I was already under fire, right? So even if I went nuts and I started blasting back,
that's
I don't think
any violence.
I'm just saying.
That forget.
Appreciate you working to try to come up with something like that.
I think Mike kind of forced you into that.
The dice did.
But
just
the
dice. And I don't deserve that.
I think only others I would say, I'm trying to think of, were destruction of the flamethrower. I think could be wanton violence because you destroyed something that was useful to us, to the coterie as a whole. Need for that. How this any of your convictions or touchstones? I also feel like I'm going to give you a token for it. But I don't know if we want to consider that.
I mean, okay, so if we want to look at the flamethrower in just by itself, I mean, I could say that was a violation of United We Stand, Divided We Fall. I took something away from the coterie. Give respect, but
I don't know about that one.
Possibly.
I consider that rather wanton violence because you physically took the flamethrower, like the spray end, broke you over your knee, took the tank, and threw it as far as you could. You know, it's...
Yeah, and there was no real need for that other than your own distaste for the flamethrower.
Yeah.
Two teenagers enjoying their first night as man and woman together.
Oh my God.
No, sorry.
Oh
God.
So I was walking down the street and I came across this kid that was just laughing and laughing and laughing. I asked him why he was laughing. He said, I farted and the car behind me blew up.
All right. You know what? Sure. I'll take it.
Like, I hate to put that on you, but...
No. It's okay. It's okay. I consciously made that choice. So I am perfectly okay with that. I will roll against that. So just so we don't have to do it later, it's my unused humanity rounded
roll a
down,
number of
right?
dice equal to the empty dots on the humanity tracker minus your stains, so -1.
Okay, so I'll roll 2. Okay. I lose.
I know, I'm kind of like, I don't know that I agree with this.
You only have 3 unmarked humanity?
Yeah, he's at 7 humanity.
Yeah,
that's the other thing where
I've
I'm
never
like, but it'd
lost
be
any,
okay
which
for
is
Tomaso to lose a humanity.
Yeah. So I'm not feeling bad about this. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't love it, but I don't exactly have a problem either.
I mean, he passed.
All right, so give us
Human over here.
I know.
I feel bad about dousing those kids.
Tomaso is accused
All
of violating don't commit wanton violence for his action of destroying a useful tool to the coterie by snapping the flamethrower over his knee and casting it aside.
Side, huh? Tomaso has thought about it and does feel remorseful.
Very well.
So he
Mr.
maintains
Fletcher,
his humanity.
I cannot let the murder of Sergeant Ayers slide. He was not at that point.
He was
fighting.
an enemy combatant.
He hadn't started the murder rating, though.
Okay, the specific order of operations that occurred here was I approached Sergeant Ayers. As soon as I started talking to him, he declared his intention by throwing handcuffs on me, making himself an enemy combatant. Like, I don't know how you would not say that's not enemy combatant.
I guess okay. It sort of escalates the situation when you take someone who tries to take you in without killing you, and then you shove shadows down their throat to suffocate them. And
I didn't suffocate him.
Yes, you.
I muted him.
Just prevented him.
I muted him.
On you. Okay, so you muted him, and then you shot him in the head.
I gave every opportunity for him to walk away from that.
That's true. He
Yes,
did.
he gave them. He gave them
I
all
walked
chances
away.
to back
I
down.
said, "Move these cars." They said no.
They
fuck
said
you.
no,
I
fuck
even
you.
got back onto the bus, fully planning on leaving him alone, and they still didn't move.
All right, that's a good point. You make a compelling argument. Okay, so you
Other than
were
that, what else you
an
got?
asshole to Timmy.
I was an asshole to Timmy.
Oh, that was you.
No, that was me.
How was I an asshole to Timmy?
Because you're usually the one who does stuff like that.
Yeah, no. Now, like, if you wanted to say, like, I was an asshole to Clear, sure. But Timmy,
Yeah.
not so much.
No, I mean, if you're going to call anybody out,
he
for
was the
Timmy,
one
it was
that
me.
sat next to him slurping on a blood packet going, yeah. Now, I was an asshole to Suzanne,
Yeah.
but Suzanne can
Nah.
suck it.
She's a kindred.
Hey, watch
Okay.
it.
So are you guys okay with Gordon has 0 stain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you guys think of anything that would cause a stain?
I will
I
give
don't
you
think we
one
should
night without
clear
attempting it.
necessarily cause a stain.
Damn it.
Yeah,
I was on the street.
I know you were going for a record.
Yeah, I was. I was on the street for three nights in a row of losing humanity.
3 or 6 or
Yeah, whatever.
What episode are we on?
Yeah.
21.
So 10. I feel like every night I've had a stain.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
Yeah. Gordon incurred no stains to his humanity.
Hey guys, we're Monster Game Night. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm Mike, your storyteller, and I am joined at the table by
Josh playing Clear Visions.
Nick playing Jason.
Russell playing Gordon.
And Ben playing Tomaso. Tune in next week. We release an episode every Monday. Also, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcatcher. You know, we'd love to hear from you on social media. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit at Monster Game Night. Also, while you're around, please give us a rating, write a review, and tell your friends and family if you enjoyed the show, because word of mouth is the best way for a small independent podcast like ours to grow. Hope that you can come to our next
Monster Game Night.